Welcome to the BettingPros PGA Podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice here with Bo McBrayer. Just one more event to go before the PGA Championship. Today we're going to give you a betting preview of the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow. We will also be touching briefly on the other PGA Tour event this week, the Myrtle Beach Classic. So classic that it's the first time they're holding it. Brand new event. We will also do a quick recap of the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson, and we will give you our one and done picks at the end of the show, of course. The Betting Pros PGA Podcast is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is the place to go for best ball fantasy football contests, but you might not have known that Underdog has golf contests too. Sign up for Underdog if you haven't already with the promo code BPGolf to get your first deposit matched up to $100. Plus, there's a special pick available for you in the lobby. More on Underdog and its golf contests a little later. Taylor Pendrith won the Byron Nelson. He finished 23 under par, one shot better than Ben Coles, two shots better than Alex Noren. Coles had birdied 16 and 17 and led by one shot when the final group came to the 18th hole, a short par 5. Pendrith hit the green in 2, easy 2-putt birdie. Coles missed the green short right, flubbed a little pitch, and missed a 5-foot par putt that would have forced a playoff. It was a painful short game meltdown for Coles, and one that I could certainly empathize with. Coles wasn't the only guy in the final group who stubbed his toe. Bo, our guy Jake Knapp, was right there. He was paired with Pendrith and Coles on Sunday, but Knapp just couldn't get anything going. Shot a final round 70, which just not good enough on a birdie fest. In a birdie fest like the Byron Nelson. Pendrith, meanwhile, opened with a 64, shot a blistering 63 on Saturday, and then did just enough on Sunday, shooting a 67. Pendrith is having such an unusual season. He's played 12 events in 2024. He's missed the cut in half of them, and he's finished 11th or better in 5 of those 12 events. Talk about feast or famine. Before we move on to the Wells Fargo Championship, Bo, any thoughts on what went down at the Byron Nelson?
It's hard to say, but Jake Knapp's short game was his downfall as well. And it was also his inability to find fairways on the weekend. There was a problem with Jake Knapp off the tee, and he couldn't recover on approach. So he wasn't making birdies when he should have. Thursday and Friday, it was a birdie fest, obviously. He did. He couldn't find the fairways that he found in the early rounds. Shot 64 on Thursday and Friday. Short game has never been his strong suit. He couldn't make any birdie putts when he gave himself those opportunities. It's going to be really interesting to see him moving forward with the bad putting we saw and a really nasty snap hook. That was his downfall. And then Coles, it's the only week I didn't talk about Ben Coles. I've been talking about him for a year and a half now, and it sucks because I was like, oh, I've been talking about Ben Coles, and he didn't really pop up in my modeling because he's not a long hitter. He didn't really have the metrics to back up me supporting him even as a long shot. But Pendrith was third in my model, and I had a lot of him in DFS. I wish I had more of him in DFS, but because he's missed half of his cuts, I was gun shy to bet him because it was either he was going to show up as a stat darling who actually did well, which exactly what happened. This guy's an amazing off the tee player, and he makes a lot of birdies when he's right. And he was very, very right this week. It was a big clap there for me because I was like, hey, I'm going to have some Pendrith, but I'm really shaky about it because he's burned me 3 or 4 times this season already.
Well, it's good that it validated the model, though, because he did play
the stats
really well.
Don't lie, people. You have to trust it.
We will get to the Wells Fargo Championship in just a moment, but first, our friends at Underdog Fantasy are letting you make picks on your favorite golfers all season long. Just pick higher or lower on selected stats for 2 to 5 golfers, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single day. You can also make rivals picks. choosing, for example, which of two golfers will shoot a better score in a round. Golf picks can be combined with player stats from other sports too. Go sign up at Underdog Fantasy with the promo code BPGolf to get your first deposit matched up to $100. Plus, there's a special pick available for you in the lobby. The Wells Fargo Championship is an elevated event this year, so big purse, and we're getting a smaller field, just 70 players with no cut in this event. The host course for the Wells Fargo is Quail Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a par 71 that plays to 7,558 yards. This is a long course, Bo, and the fairways are somewhat narrow by PGA Tour standards, so the players who can combined distance and accuracy off the tee this week are going to have a big advantage. Two of the par fours measure more than 500 yards, and that does not include either the 495-yard opening par four or the 494-yard finishing par four, which really cool hole. 18 has that creek that hugs the left side of the fairway, and I mean hugs. It's just a few feet off the fairway. Sort of a classic Parkland-style course, tree-lined fairways, some dog legs. The greens are Bermuda. When they play the Wells Fargo at Quail Hollow, the scoring average is usually right around even par. Recent winners of the Wells Fargo Championship in years when it was played at Quail Hollow, Wyndham Clark ran away with it last year, finishing minus 19, 4 shots clear of Xander Schauffele and the rest of the field. Rory McIlroy won here in 2021, finishing 10 under par, 1 shot better than Abraham Answer. Max Homa won in 2019, finishing minus 15, 3 shots clear of the field. And Jason Day was minus 12 to win at Quail Hollow in 2018. Bo, your thoughts on Quail Hollow and the kind of players who might do well here?
It's a fantastic golf course, and it's a testament to the difficulty when only twice in the last 9 years has it been a score better than 12 under par has won this thing. They just underwent renovations, which is why last year's tournament, or we had a couple of years off of this where it went somewhere else, comes back. Quail Hollow, 75-58, par 71. That's a beast. That's a beast, and it demands off the tee prowess, and it demands everything else when your off the tee game is a little bit off. So it's a true full bag test of the golf game. If you're scuffling with one part of the game, Quail Hollow will expose it. And if you're playing really well, Quail Hollow will reward you with multiple chances to gain strokes on the field. I love this golf course. I have a client of mine that lives on the 14th hole at Quail Hollow in Charlotte, and they live there in the winter time when it's nice and chillier here. In Quail Hollow, it's beautiful, but they go back all the time and they play golf there, and they're always telling me, "Oh, this is the greatest place on earth. It's a gorgeous golf course." And so, yes, I love Quail Hollow, and I'm looking forward to some rather. It's a really strong field, and in elevated events, that's the best part. I don't care about the money. Nobody that's not in the field really cares about the prize money. It's about the strength of the field and seeing the best in the world take on a challenge like this one.
Yeah, I like this course too. The finishing stretch with the 16th hole, I believe that's one of the 500-plus yard par fours.
It's a beast.
Number 17 is like 190, and the whole thing is a carry over water with water also on the left. And then
and a false front.
And the false front, and then the 18th hole, which is long and has that creek. And I think the scoring average there last year was something like 4.3, just a bear of a hole. So, yeah, this is going to be a demanding test for a really strong field. It's going to be fun to watch. Before we get to the odds, if you want a chance to win a free 1-year premium Betting Pros subscription, you need to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now. Comment below on this video, and that's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. All right, let's get to the odds. These are all courtesy of DraftKings as of Monday afternoon. Once again, no Scotty Scheffler in the field, so Rory McIlroy is the favorite at plus 650. Xander Schauffele is plus 900. Wyndham Clark plus 1,600. Patrick Cantlay plus 1,800. Max Homa plus 2,000. Tommy Fleetwood and Collin Morikawa plus 2,200. Victor Hovland, Justin Thomas, and Cameron Young are plus 2,500. Sahith Theegala is plus 2,800. Tony Finau and Hideki Matsuyama are plus 3,000. And we have a big group at plus 3,500 that includes Alex Noren, Will Zalatoris, Siwoo Kim, Matt Fitzpatrick, Jordan Spieth, and Ben An. Who do you like from this group, Bo?
Well, right off the top, Rory McIlroy owns this course. This is the horse for the course extraordinaire. For all of the warts that he's shown in the last couple of months on approach, those are mostly shorter approach distances. This guy from the longer approach distances we're looking at here, 175 and upward. Par 4 scoring is very important here. And of course, distance and accuracy off the tee. There's probably not a better combination of those two things than there is with Rory McIlroy. It's what Wyndham Clark carried to win last year, was just an amazing off the tee week. And of course, he puts the lights out. Rory McIlroy from tee to green with his distance advantage, his ability to score on tough par 4s in these kinds of conditions. I think you start there at plus 650. That's a decent number for a guy who he's gonna feel the good vibes from Quail Hollow, because he's won here twice. He's looked good every time he's been here. I think he's only been outside the top 10 once in the last few years. There's a lot to say about Rory. And then Max Homa. The comp course for this is Riviera. Max Homa plays well at Riviera. Max Homa plays well here. That, again, distance and accuracy combination off the tee, plus a really solid short game. You don't see Max Homa flub too many wedges around the green, especially down the stretch in crunch time. Ben Coles, you got to get yourself on Max Homa's level, because that's what it takes to win on the PGA Tour. Max Homa comes in at third in my model behind Rory, and one of my long shot picks is number 1. So we're going to tease that one.
Okay. Yeah, Rory is very much at home at Quail Hollow.
Oof.
Got his first PGA Tour win here in 2010. He's also won at Quail Hollow in 2015 and 2021. He only finished 47th here last year, but he's finished top 10 in 5 of his last 8 trips to Charlotte.
Love it.
Wyndham Clark, you mentioned, I mean, he just blew away the field at Wells Fargo last year and finished third in his most recent event, the RBC Heritage. And then Homa, yeah, he won here in 2018, finished 8th here last year, also tied for third at the Masters last month, so he's coming in confident. What about Xander, Bo? I mean, he's logged 7 straight top 25s, finished second here last year, and he was 14th here in 2021.
Yeah, Xander's thing is he's been a little bit lackluster at making birdies, especially on the weekend. But all of these guys that we're mentioning are in the top 10 of my model. So I think it might be a real strong chalk week where if you have a good investment, a good lean, a good feeling about a guy, go for it, because they're all rating out well here. The field is extremely strong. You're not going to get much value at the top of this board because everybody knows who the horses are. And so for me, it's Rory and Max, but I still feel pretty good about Xander and JT. And of course, Cantlay here, he's steady Eddie. This is another course where you get the tougher the conditions, the better Patrick Cantlay shows up versus the field. And you can't ignore that. And of course, Wyndham Clark, you just completely annihilated this course last year. And that's one of the best, I think the best winning score that's ever been shot here, over 72 holes was 19 under par. So, yeah, all these guys are great picks. I lean towards the 2 that I picked, but I would not shake my fist at anybody who picked any of those other guys.
Yeah, Wyndham Clark made Quail Hollow look like Craig Ranch, host course
really
of
did.
Byron Nelson. I mean,
19 under at Quail Hollow is insane.
It really is. One guy, like, we have not really recommended this guy very often, if at all, this year, Bo, but Justin Thomas, I'm at least a little bit curious about him. Finished 5th in his last event, also the RBC Heritage, and he's finished 26th or better in his last 4 trips to Quail Hollow, including a win here in 2017. So
I love me some JT. I'm rooting for him every time.
plus 2,500. Not
That's nice.
Terrible odds. So
that's pretty soft. And don't overlook Collin Morikawa, because if he can make some putts, this guy from tee to green is as good as it gets. You cannot fault Collin Morikawa. We always talk about how he choked on Sunday at the Masters. He got to Sunday at the Masters with an immaculate short game, which was not something we've seen from him in a couple of years. And this is the kind of venue and an event and elevated status that is going to be essential here. Off the tee game, he's as accurate as it gets. Long iron game, he is the best besides Scottie Scheffler on tour. So give me Collin Morikawa at plus 2,200. Maybe not as aggressive as I'll be with the other guys at the top, but that's a number I'm looking at to see if it moves a little bit.
Let's investigate some of the mid-range options. Checking in at 40-1 are Akshay Bhatia, Adam Scott, Sam Burns, Russell Henley, and Brian Harmon. Stephen Yeager and Jason Day are plus 4,500. Sungjae Im, Sepp Straka, and Ricky Fowler are plus 5,000. Tom Hoagie, Harris English, Denny McCarthy, Christian Bezuidenhout, and Corey Connors are plus 5,500. And at plus 6,000 are Adam Schenk, Shane Lowry, Keegan Bradley, JT Poston, Chris Kirk, and Billy Horschel. Do any of the mid-range plays appeal to you, Bo?
Honestly, not many. One of the guys that popped in my model was Sungjae Im, but his form has been so bad. He hasn't really put it all together this season, so I'm going to skip him in an elevated event. I just don't think he measures up with this kind of field anymore. Until we see it, I have to see it from Sungjae to favor him. Really, just kind of I'm honestly skipping this entire group. I'm not a fan of any of them fitting this golf course very well. Maybe I go down to the 75-1 range and I start there. Honestly, I'm going to take a big skip on that group because I think they're all inflated with too short odds for what their odds of winning are.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get on board with the Ricky Fowler odds, but he's sort of the junior version of Rory McIlroy at Quail Hollow. Like, he's finished 21st or better in 5 of his last 6 trips here with 3 top 5s. And he hasn't been in terrible form, I guess. Top 30 in his last 2 events. So, mildly interested.
I might watch Sam Burns a little bit to see if his line moves a little bit softer, because everybody's off Sam Burns, but he's got a lot of game, and that odd's kind of on par for him. I just don't know if I want to bet on Sam Burns because what has he done for us lately?
Yeah, that's true. Corey Connors just such a terrific ball striker, but the short game.
You need a good short game here, bar none.
He did finish 8th here last year, but whether he could get over the top,
he could have won if he had a short game.
Yep.
He was dialed in off the tee and on approach, which he usually is. I mean, this guy's got one of the best golf swings in the world, but the guy can't buy a bucket if he's chipping.
Yeah. Jason Day just hasn't been in good enough form. He's won here, and he won here in 2018, finished 9th in 2017, but just I don't think we can consider
That's a long time ago, Pat.
It is. What about Hideki, Bo?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Matsuyama has finished top 12 in 5 of his last 6 events, and he's had 3 top 20s at Quail Hollow in the past. So
his game style fits this golf course, but he's another guy where I kind of look at him sideways in a field this strong. Like, yes, he's done it before, but is he going to do it here? And again, we just saw Hideki at Riviera. that was a historic performance. So I'm, again, another guy I'm monitoring as the week progresses to see what the line does. But 30-1 for Hideki right here, I think is too short.
Is he at 30-1? What did I say was? Oh, I've got him in the wrong category. Yeah, 30. I agree. I agree. If it gets to like 40-1,
you are wishful thinking of where he should be.
I know. Yeah, if I could catch him at 40-1, I'd be all over it.
For sure.
Let's see, Matt Fitzpatrick. I just don't know if he's long enough to be in contention here.
He's only accurate off the tee. He's going to have to be nails everywhere else, though.
Yeah, he's only played Quail Hollow twice, and his best finish was 35th last year. I mean, he's been hot, top 25 in 5 of his last 7 starts, but just doesn't seem like a great fit for him. What about long shots, Bo? Anyone you like at 70-1 or longer odds?
I got to do it. Shout out NorCal. Kurt Kitayama is the exact type of player that fits well here. Excellent long iron player, good distance off the tee, and he's got a really good around the green game. This is the kind of place where the grinders show up. Your Cantlays, your Xanders, those guys that just don't beat themselves in tough conditions. That's where Kurt Kitayama comes in. That's him last year at the PGA and at the Arnold Palmer when he won and finished top 5 at the PGA. It's tough conditions where he's just steady. He makes pars. He makes birdies when he needs to, and he makes pars where it's necessitated. You're not going to see too many crooked numbers from Kurt Kitayama. At 75-1, I think he's better than that. And so I'll be looking at placement bets, top 10, top 20 type placement bets, because I think the lines just are extremely soft there. Plus 600 to finish top 10 there, and plus 7,500 to win outright. Yes, we've seen him do it in fields just this strong, if not stronger. And then, of course, I think you're on the board with me with Matthieu Pavon, the Frenchman, number 8 in the FedEx Cup standings, which is actually better than Rookie of the Year consensus pick Jake Knapp. Matthieu Pavon is also a winner this year and has more FedEx Cup points. He's been more consistent than Jake Knapp, and maybe a dark horse for Rookie of the Year. We might be giving too much credit to Jake Knapp for his win in Mexico and his top 5 at last week's tournament. This is a guy who shows up every week and contends. So 90-1 for him is a really soft number for how good he's been playing this year.
Yeah, even though he's making his Quail Hollow debut, 90-1 just seems like those odds are too long. A
lot of these guys are making their quote-unquote debut this season because in order to get into this tournament, you have to be playing well.
Yeah. Justin Rose, I just keep waiting for him to show a pulse, Bo. I mean, he's got 3 top 5s at Quail Hollow, but there's just no form to go on. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think so.
What about Taylor Pendrith? I generally do not like betting guys coming off wins, but 100-1,
especially
finished 11th in his 2 previous events, and streaky as hell. If he's going to miss the cut, go ahead and miss the cut at 100-1. I'll kiss my $2 goodbye. But at those odds, I might have to throw a buck or two down, Bo.
I think if we see the type of driving that we saw last week, he can do it. But that remains to be seen. We've seen a lot of guys who are really good off the tee for a whole duration of season. Like guys like Keith Mitchell show up at places where driving accuracy and distance combined is a good stat. Corey Connors is a great example, but they do it consistently all the time. Taylor Pendrith, we haven't seen consistent off the tee game. He was unbelievably good last week, but the fairways were wide. There wasn't much consequence to letting it rip last week, unless you're Jake Knapp, where he was ripping it into the woods that nobody else was finding. That's kind of what we're looking for here, is distance and accuracy off the tee. Those driving specialists who can also get their way around the rest of the bag. I don't know that I trust Taylor Pendrith that much. 100-1, you kind of don't need to trust him that much, but it scares me. The Gary Woodland pick is mine, 250-1. He is number 1 in my model. When I whittle it down and I weight stats a certain way for certain setups, I set mine up for Bermuda courses more than 7,400 yards and just did the last 24 rounds. He is number 1 in my model, and it's not close. This guy is a par 4 assassin. He's a great driver of the golf ball. He's a great approach player on long distances. And if he can create some opportunities, that's the one weak spot I saw in the model, was that he's not very high in opportunities gained. I think that comes from getting more events under his belt after his brain surgery. That's not a hyperbole. He literally had brain surgery last year, and he's been working his way back. And I think he's been getting better with each coming and passing event. So Gary Woodland, 250-1, it's an insult to how good he is. And I'm going to be jumping all over the top 20, top 30, top 40, making the cut bets on Gary Woodland, because that's just a misprint of a price.
Yeah, that is a nice price for him. Hopefully he can, things start to click pretty soon, because, he could reward us handsomely. Who do you have on your betting card as of now, Bo?
So I'm going to start with Rory McIlroy at the top. Big favorite. I'm going to throw a 2-unit bet on him. I think he's going to come through in a big way here. And then I'm going to throw some more on Max Homa. I'm going to throw a little bit on Collin Morikawa. Then I'm going to skip all the way down to Kitayama. And I'm going to throw a couple bucks on our guy, Gary Woodland.
Nice. You talked me into betting Rory. I'm gonna bet Rory. I'm also gonna bet Schauffele. I'm Mr. Chalk. I'm eating the chalk this week, and Homa. And I'm gonna bet Hideki just to finish top 10 at plus 280. And I'm gonna bet Ricky Fowler top 5 at 10-1. Bo, just going purely on course history, the strong track record at Quail Hollow. And yes, I am betting Matthieu Pavon at 90-1. And
you are so brave.
I got to throw a couple bucks on Gary Woodland too at that price. All right, let's get to this other tournament, Bo. Quick look at the Myrtle Beach Classic. This is a brand new event. It will be played at the Dunes Golf and Beach Club in Myrtle Beach. It's a par 71 measuring 7,347 yards, Bermuda greens. It's a Robert Trent Jones course. It looks beautiful, but I have no idea how it's going to play. Eric Van Rooyen, Daniel Berger, and Ben Griffin are the co-favorites at plus 2,800. So no real clear-cut favorite here at all. Davis Thompson and Bo Hostler plus 3,000, and Victor Perez, Ryo Hisatsuni, Ryan Fox, and Matt Wallace are plus 3,500. Are you betting this one, Bo?
Yeah, that's. I'm going to sit this one out. I don't really have any good leans on this one. It's a new tournament. Let me see. I'm going to take a close look here. Davis Thompson for me is intriguing because he's an accurate player, and this looks like a golf course that demands accuracy off the tee. Why not? Let's go with our guy Ryo Hisatsuni. He showed up last week at the Byron Nelson, so I think that he's got into a good groove with his short game, which was lacking. And then maybe a couple bucks on Chan Kim at 45-1. I think other than that, I think we should probably keep it close to the vest for this one.
I'm betting Ryo Hisatsuni myself at 35-1. And I think I'm going to throw a buck on Pearson Coody at 130-1. He's just been playing reasonably well lately. So let's try that one. Before we get to our one and done picks, if you're playing in a one and done golf pool, or if you're playing in any sort of tiers-based majors pool this year, our friends at Pool Genius have a new product that gives you an edge. Using objective data like betting odds, course performance, and national pick trends, the tool highlights the top value picks that give you an edge, and it can be all customized specifically for your pool. If you're doing a one-and-done pool or majors pool, let Pool Genius be your secret weapon. And by the way, Pool Genius is not just for golf pools. You can use it for March Madness pools, NFL Survivor pools, and much, much more. For 10% off on the majors tool and for up to 55% off on yearly packages that include all golf, football, and March Madness tools, visit poolgenius.com/fantasypros. Again, that's poolgenius.com/fantasypros. Now for our one and done picks. Last week at the Byron Nelson, Bo, you had Steven Yeager, and he finished tied for 20th, good for $112,100. I had Minwoo Lee. He finished tied for 24th, good for $77,425. Not a lot of blood here, but you put a little more distance between us and still lead by about $2 million. You're up first this week, Bo. Who you got?
So it was funny. It was funny, though. Going into the 72nd hole, we were tied, and Minwoo Lee made par on 18, and Yeager made birdie. So I beat you by one stroke, and that's the only edge that I got was that the last hole of the tournament in the same group. And so I will take that. I thought we were going to tie and push this week, so I will take the small $50,000 win. And I was going through because we're over halfway through the season, and I was just trying to see who have I not used yet that surprises me. And it surprises me to no end that I have not used Justin Thomas yet. So I'm going to use Justin Thomas at the Quail Hollow course.
Nice. I'm bringing out the big gun for this elevated event, Bo. It's Rory time. I'm playing the Rory card for this one. So
I kind of figured you would. So
got to go with the Quail Hollow specialist in a big money event.
and that's a swing. It's a swing type thing, and I honestly hope that you catch me with this week, because that means I'll win lots of money too with my betting card.
And that is going to do it for this week's show. I want to thank our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Sign up for Underdog with the promo code BPGolf to get your first deposit matched up to $100, plus a special pick available for you in the lobby. And please come join Bo and I again next week when we will be previewing the PGA Championship. Until then, so long, everyone.